Go. Hello everybody, welcome back to Summer Explorers Camp 2020. For this video today, we're going to be talking you through how to make your very own junk boat. Looks like this. So before we get into making our craft, as usual, we're going to talk a little bit about the backstory behind junk boats, what they were used for, why they started being used, and different things like that. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. So as I just told you, a junk is a type of Chinese sailing ship. It was actually created in between the Tang and the Ming dynasties. So I know we're talking about these four major dynasties that happened during Imperial China, but in between those there are also some smaller dynasties that were responsible for some important things as well. And so one of these was called the Song Dynasty, and it was during this dynasty that junk boats really became popular. So like I said, developed during the Song Dynasty, but throughout the rest of the dynasties, through later dynasties, these junk ships would evolve and become bigger and better and used for more things. These boats were primarily used by Chinese traders throughout Southeast Asia, so all over that ocean area they would be used. They are typically used as cargo ships, pleasure boats, or houseboats. And they're often considered to be one of the most efficient ship designs of all time. So they were like wildly popular all over this part of the world, and they're very successful because they're good ship design. They were used for lots of things. So these boats would typically be made of softwoods and bamboo, and so they're like made of woods that aren't quite as hard, so maybe like pine trees or like different things like that. And they usually had multiple sails, so they could have up to 4 sails. And usually you would have one that was like a lot bigger than the other two, just as the main sail, but like I said, they could have up to 4. Some of the largest junks in history were actually treasure ships commanded by the Ming Dynasty Admiral Zheng He. I know we talked about him in an earlier PowerPoint. So yeah, he was in charge of some of the biggest. He actually had his made, they were up to 390 feet long, so it's a massive, massive ship. And they were made for the world exploration during the 15th century. So like you saw in the PowerPoint, he traveled all along the coast of Asia and Europe and down into Africa. So these are the ships that he would have been traveling in. And this would have been from the mid-15th century to the early 16th century. However, Chinese maritime trading, so ocean trading or sea trading, actually got banned under the Ming Dynasty, so they stopped doing it altogether. And so that also would have been from the mid-15th century into the 16th century. And so the shipping and the shipbuilding knowledge that was acquired during these smaller dynasties that we talked about, they kind of declined, they went down, they weren't used as much. So you kind of saw a drop off in the use of the junk boat. So that's just kind of like the history of junk boats in a nutshell. So now that we've done that, we can get started making our craft. So, all right, so what we're gonna need for this craft is you're going to need a paper food boat. You can also use, if you don't have anything similar to this at home, you can also use just a normal paper bowl or a styrofoam bowl. They also work well. But yes, that will be our main boat. So you'll use the food boat. You will also need 1 coffee filter. You'll need 1 long skewer. You'll need 5 half skewers, a pin or something else that's kind of like sharp. You'll need some scissors, and you'll also need some tape. So to get started, I also didn't mention this, but you also, if you want to decorate your food boat or your sails, then you can use markers or colored pencils, whatever works for you. You can see on here I kind of decorated mine just beforehand, so it's already done. But yeah, you can also use markers. So now we can get started. So the first thing you're gonna do, obviously, is decorate your food boat if you want to do so. So then after that, the first thing we want to get started doing is cutting our coffee filter into sails. So what you're gonna wanna do is flatten it out so that it's nice and straight. And then what we're gonna do is just cut it in half. So right up the middle. so that's done. So you're gonna take 1/2 and you're gonna set it to the side. You're gonna take the other half and we're gonna cut it in half again. So we're gonna cut right up the center of that, just like that. So what that's gonna leave us with is 3 sails. You're gonna have 1 large sail, like you can see here, and then we're also gonna have 2 smaller sails, just like that. So we'll set the sails to the side. You can also use markers to decorate your sails if you want to. That's just a personal preference, up to you. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take our food boat along with our pin or other semi-sharp object, and we're gonna poke 3 holes. So we're gonna poke 1 hole at one end, 1 hole at the other end, and then we're gonna poke 1 hole in the center. All right, so you can see we've got 3 holes here, 1 on each end and 1 in the center. So what is gonna come next is that we are going to create our mast for our boat. So this is where we're gonna use our skewers. So you can see you've got 5 short ones, I'm sorry, and 1 long one. So the 1 long one is gonna be your main sail. So that's what we're gonna create first. So what you wanna do is take your long one and take 1 short one and kind of create a little cross shape, just like that. And so what you're gonna wanna do is get a little piece of tape, and you're just gonna wrap it around the middle, just so it stays put and doesn't move or anything like that. So yeah, and it can be a little bit crooked, that's okay. But yeah, so that's gonna be our mast. This is gonna be our main mast. We're also gonna make 2 smaller ones. We're gonna make them out of the shorter ones, so you'll just do those the same way. Just make a little cross shape and tape the center. For the sake of time, I already have some that are done. So you can see right here, we've got the main sail, which is gonna be in the center. And then we also have 2 smaller sails that we're gonna be on each end. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to attach our sails to our mast. So you saw earlier, we made our 3 different sails. So we're gonna do the large sail first, just because it'll probably be a little easier. And what we're gonna do to attach it to this is we're gonna take a couple of pieces of tape. They don't have to be very big, and just put them on either side of your cross or mast. Can't get it off my finger. All right, so we've got that there. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take your sail. You want the curved side to be going upwards, so it'll be towards the short end of your cross, but you're just gonna tape it to those pieces of tape. So it'll be attached to your mast. So just like that, you can see, just like that. So now we're gonna do the same thing pretty much with our smaller masts and our smaller sails. With these, since they're a little bit shaped a little bit differently, I like to just fold up the corner so it kind of ends up looking more like your large sail. Do the same thing with this one. And we're basically gonna do the same thing that we just did with the large one, except on our smaller ones. So we'll just put two pieces of tape. And then we will tape this right here. So you can see what they're kind of gonna look like when they're finished. And then we'll do the same thing one more time. These things are too small for me. So you'll just keep taping your sails until you are completely done. All right, so now that we have our sails done, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna attach our mast to our boat. Now this part can get a little bit frustrating, but you just gotta work with your tape and work with your mask until you find the right way that it works for you. So basically what we're gonna do is just grab a couple pieces of tape, and we'll just start on one end. So what you're gonna do is insert your skewer, the bottom of your skewer, into the hole. And then we're gonna flip it over, and you don't need a whole lot poking out, just enough to wrap your tape around and get it stuck in there pretty good. So just like that. And don't worry if this part's still wobbly, we're gonna fix that here in just a second. So the next one you wanna do the one in the center. Came out. You can see right there, they like to pop right back out as soon as you get them in. So like I said, you just gotta keep working with them, figure out what way works best for you. And then we'll do the last one right here. Oop. All right, so now that we've got the bottom secure, we're gonna go over these things with tape just one more time to secure the top part. So we will just put that back in there and just wrap a little piece of tape around the bottom just to stick it in there really well and make it stay really good. And that should really secure it and get it stable. We'll just do the same thing with these other two. Wrap it all the way around. I'll take one more little piece of tape. All right. So that is how you create your very own junk boat. Like I said, it might take a lot of experimenting to get your masks in just right. But like I said, you got plenty of time. Just take your time and figure out what works best for you. So that's about it for this craft that I've got here, guys. We'd love to see your junk boat, so if you would like to post these on Facebook and share them using our hashtag for this camp, it's hashtag MOTRR Summer Explorers 2020. And we'll be looking at all these pictures and all these things that you guys are posting, and we will use them to do a drawing for a $20 gift card to our museum store. So once again, we'd love to see those. We're excited to see you guys following along. So tune back in later today. I think we've got one more video, but you guys enjoy making this craft, and we'll see you soon.